Okay, so Adorno. I didn't get very far. I think I got through like the first paragraph of Adorno. We had the review, and so we'll pick it up next time. This is gonna be the last video, and I think today is serious. Um, but let's all right. Let's go a little bit farther into this. You guys should really give this some thought. It's gonna take some time because it's a hard thing to think about. Because I know you guys love your movies and you love your TV shows and you love your video games and you love your anime cartoons and shit. I love these things too. Um, but it is worth considering. And again, part of it is worth considering whether everything you look at really is pretty much the same. This is Adorno's point. It's all Coke and Pepsi. You have freedom, but it's the freedom of what kind of peanut butter to choose. It's not a real choice. Um, or it's the freedom between two products and both owned by the same company. But let's go a little farther into this and spend some more time with the actual sort of text because Adorno has a larger point, which is that the reason all this stuff looks the same is because it's brainwashing you into being the same, into thinking when culture and art all looks the same. Because you might be like, well, yeah, it looks the same, but it's fucking awesome. Because some of you guys are going to be like, it doesn't look the same. To which you might be right. Depending on your examples, you might be right. Maybe it doesn't look the same. But I think a lot of it does look the same, and you should at least seriously consider the ways in which your choices aren't really choices at all, they're just the same. Now, you can also say, but you're welcome to think about it and is it the same and is it not? But Adorno's point is that the culture looks the same because it is trying to create audience. It's trying to influence the audience. Well, what does it want to influence the audience to do? Well, it wants to influence the audience to do the same thing that religion used to want the audience to do, which is to think the same thoughts, to have the same beliefs, to believe the same things. This is what makes it scary. This is why it's dangerous and freaky to have all the art that people see look the same, because it affects the audience. And it makes the audience all the same. Because if you watch these movies, now you think about them as fun, escapist stuff. But one of the things we talk about in a literature classroom is that these works of art have ideas. Even the dumb looking ones have ideas. Every work of art has some kind of ideas in it. The fancy word for this is ideology. We'll talk about that next time. But every work of art has ideas. Those ideas are getting into your head when you watch these movies. And if you watch enough of them, and they're all exactly, hey, if you want to get a little kid to learn something, you give him the same lesson over and over and over again until he gets it. Well, that's what culture is doing to you. It's giving you the same movies, the same TV shows, and the same video games with the same points, making the same points over and over and over again. And Adorno says this is to brainwash you. It's to brainwash the audiences into thinking the same thoughts, into being the same kind of people. So, okay, let's take a look at what else Adorno has to say. Obviously, we'll spend a little more time on this next time. So he says, interested parties explain the culture industry in technological terms. It's alleged that because millions participate in it, certain reproduction processes are necessary that inevitably require identical needs in innumerable places to be satisfied with identical goods. Right? So people will be like, listen, we're not trying to brainwash anybody. It's just that there's lots of people here and they all want the same things. So let's give it to them. The technological contrast between the few production centers and the large number of widely dispersed consumption points, meaning the few people that make movies and the millions and millions of people that watch them, is said to demand organization and planning by management. Like, look, it has to be the same because, we have a lot of people to satisfy. So we got to make sure that, what satisfies the most number of people. Furthermore, it's claimed that the standards were based in the first place on consumers' needs, and for that reason were accepted with so little resistance. The result is the circle of manipulation and retroactive need. This is an important phrase, retroactive need. You're going to want to underline that. And retroactive need in which the unity of the system grows ever stronger. No mention is made of the fact that the basis on which technology acquires its power over society is power of those whose economic hold over society is greatest. Okay. So this is again, scary and disturbing, depressing thoughts about art. Notice, by the way, how far we've come from Wordsworth. We're in a very different arena now. And this is why you can't just be like, Wordsworth is right, I'm done thinking about this, because Adorno has some pretty good points to make. One of the things he points out is people go, well, man, the reason superhero movies are all the same is that's what the audience wants. Man, the audience loves superheroes. We just give people what they want. It's not our fault. We would rather it. So the rich guys that make the movies are going to be like, we don't even really want it to look the same. But our job is to give the customers what they want, and this is what the customers want. That's their defense. Well, Adorno points out that that's bullshit, um, because of what he calls retroactive need. Um, One of the phrases I'm going to give you to think about this is manufactured consent. Manufactured consent and retroactive need. The, the people that make the movies say, we're making all these movies look pretty much the same because that's what the audience. Because sometimes I'm like, man, all superhero movies all the time for 20 years, can I not have a different kind of movie? And I go, well, that's just not what people want. Here's the thing, it's the rich and powerful people who taught folks what to want. So you think you're in charge of your own decisions, but really what happens is that the whole point of advertising is to teach people what to want, to teach people what to get excited about, to tell them what's important. And so they claim, well, we're just giving the customers what they want. Well, why do the customers want this? Because you put the idea in their brains to ask for it. You limited their choices so that they don't have any other ideas. So he basically, his point is that the culture and art is brainwashing people, so that even when people are like, man, we want more superhero movies, one of the reasons people want more superhero movies is because they don't know a lot of other kinds of movies. I teach a film class, which I'll be teaching next semester. I hope to God it's in person. I'm very worried it's not going to be. Um, but one of the things I do in film class is I ask students before, at the first day of class, I say, can you list off your 20 favorite movies? 20 favorite movies. I just want to learn about my students. What are your 20 favorite movies? Very frequently, what I end up getting is a list of 20 movies, 19 of which are superhero movies. Now, is that because my students are stupid? No. But this is what has been in theaters for 20 years. And they're 20 years old. So, of course, when you're 20 years old and the major product of Hollywood for your entire fucking life is superhero movies, and I ask you what your 20 favorite movies are, they're all superhero movies. Think about, by the way, how many people. Let's rank. What are the best superhero movies? Let's rank them. Top 20 superhero movies. Do you see how that? It's stupid. It doesn't matter what order you put them in. The problem is that they're all way, way too similar. And then they take my film class. And my film class involves me making them. And when they get, first of all, my students know I love Spider-Man. I love X-Men. I love superhero movies. So my students know this, and they come to film class and they're very excited. They say, Professor, are we going to watch X-Men? And I go, no, we're not. My film class consists only of movies that most of my students have never heard of. The kind of movie that if you put it on, they would turn it off. And I make them get to the end of 14 movies that they would not normally watch. I'm talking about movies that are in foreign language films, movies that are black and white, movies where nothing happens for hours. One of the movies I show in class, there is no spoken words for like an hour. The first person says the first line of dialogue about an hour into the movie. It's just nothing's happening. It's not the kind of movie you would watch, because what I'm trying to do in the film class is to break people's patterns. They're used to getting the same thing over and over again. Come take a film class with me. I'll give you something different. I'll give you something you've never seen before, and I'll give you a different way of thinking about it. This is one of the things we do in school, is teachers force you to read books or read poems or watch movies that you never normally would read or watch. Because culture, a lot of culture, Adorno says, just brainwashes you and gives you the same thing over and over again. Whereas one of the points of my class and my school is to try to give you something different, something you wouldn't normally watch. Okay, I think we pretty much reached the end of today's thing on Adorno, so welcome back to your sort of post-spring break situation. We will continue with Adorno next time. We've got Freud and Bourdieu coming up, and maybe some other folks. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do after that or how much time I'm going to spend on these folks. Usually I only do 3 more people, but it seems like we have quite a bit of this. We have a month of the semester left, so I'm probably going to need to do more than, well, I do 4 more people. So we'll continue on, but make some comments, give some thoughts, let me know what you're thinking with this, and I will see you guys next time.